Good day, everybody. I am Shmi, and I'm back to show you all how to create this Hinekora Righteous Fire Chieftain. This build is strong and tanky with a great AoE clear speed and the capability of insta-killing bosses even in Ruthless mode. The build uses a combination of Righteous Fire, Flame Wall, and your choice of either Fireball or Incinerate. With those three skills, you can simultaneously stack three different sources of fire damage over time. Burning damage from Righteous Fire and Flame Wall, as well as the Ignite from your main third spell. And all three of them stack together. In your Ascendancies, you're going to use Tesalio, Ramako, and Hinekora. Tesalio allows you to go all in on your fire resistance. Ramako gets your burning damage to ignore enemy fire resistance. And Hinekora provides an explosive finisher for tanky mobs and area clears. The greatest weakness of playing this build is that it can be pretty slow and painful to level up until you get to your first uncarved gemstone near the end of Act 3. The main problem is your character's lack of intelligence. However, most of that pain can be avoided with just a single Lapis amulet. You'll get one guaranteed as a quest reward, but not until halfway through Act 3. The build works as a league starter, but with any normal rarity Lapis amulet farmed from another character, the vast majority of its struggles are going to dissipate. Without some boost to your intelligence, there may be some times where you're not going to have enough int required to equip or level up your gems. This stops being a problem usually around the end of Act 2, but do be ready for a rough start. If you want to create a Hinekora Righteous Fire Chieftain, the first step is to create a farm witch and take her as far as completing the Breaking Some Eggs quest in the Mudflats. This will get you Fireball and Flame Wall, as well as at least one wand from the witch. Transfer those into your stash, and then create your Hinekora Marauder. On your Marauder, the only quest reward skill gems that matter are taking Decoy Totem after breaking some eggs, and Vitality after killing Brutus. You're going to get Righteous Fire with your first uncarved gemstone from Ciosa in Act 3, and Righteous Fire is one of the only spells in the game that still works just fine if it's underleveled. If you want to trade out Fireball for Incinerate, you'll have to use your second uncarved gemstone and spend significant time leveling that gem up before you can use it. I personally did Incinerate because the skill gem has been changed since the last time I used it, and honestly I don't think the build really needs the extra area of effect damage. It's likely that the build would do more damage with just using Fireball instead, which would also allow you to keep that second uncarved gemstone. Incinerate does look really cool though, so there is that. The playstyle is very simple. Just throw down a decoy totem so that it taunts monsters, then put flame walls underneath the totem and nuke down anything that's left over. I picked up Freezing Pulse on the Farm Witch to use for the first few levels, but that's optional. Your AoE damage can be pretty rough until Flame Wall picks up in Act 2, but no matter what, Fireball is always at least okay. Your character enters into a sort of defensive cocoon until you can get your first uncarved gemstone. Then you can buy and hopefully be able to use Righteous Fire right away. It may take a few levels before you get enough regeneration and fire resistance to sustain Righteous Fire, but as soon as you can turn it on, your leveling experience becomes a cakewalk in pretty literal terms. Righteous Fire can't kill your character because it always turns off automatically at 1 hit point. However, it will take you down to 1 hit point where you'll die if a monster sneezes on you. Feel free to test Righteous Fire as soon as you get it, just be careful when you do. Typically, you can start using Righteous Fire around the same time you get your first Ascendancy. When you finish the first labyrinth, take Tesalio, Cleansing Water. Now you can just stack all the fire resistance that you can find, and most likely you will never worry about your elemental resistances ever again. When you get your second Ascendancy, take Hinekora Death's Fury. Now you can simply round up monsters and wait for them to blow up because of your Righteous Fire damage. And when you get your third Ascendancy before finishing the campaign, take Ramako Sun's Light. This will make it so that all of your burning damage pushes right through enemy fire resistance. If and when you can finish the Eternal Labyrinth, you would want to take Velako Storm's Embrace to make yourself even more tanky against elemental damage. Leveling the passive tree is tricky and very complicated, so you gotta follow this almost exactly as I say it, but here's how it goes. You start off taking these life, armor, and regeneration points. Then you want to head downward and right away take the notable skill Hard Knocks. This will give you a huge boost to your intelligence and help in leveling up all your skill gems. Next, you're going to develop this Marauder cluster, taking Diamond Skin and Robust, and you also want to take Unwavering Stance to give yourself stun immunity. Keep heading left, take this upward path to the other intelligence notable called Ancestral Knowledge. Once you have both of those intelligence notables, develop these Marauder life clusters, this Fire cluster, and Prismatic Skin. Make sure to take both the Recovery Mastery, regenerate 50 life per second, and also the Fire Mastery to gain regeneration equal to your total fire resistance. These two flat sources of regeneration, combined with the Aura of Vitality, should give you more than enough to use Righteous Fire at low levels while sustaining your life regeneration. Just make sure to get your fire resistance capped as soon as possible. We're getting ready to head to the Templar area on the tree, but before you go, take Soul of Steel. If you're struggling with your life, you can also fill the Bloodless life cluster right here. But after you do, we're going to head upward, and then we're going to develop the Templar area to take Retribution, Holy Dominion, and Light of Divinity. The end goal of this upward path to the Templar area is the notable passive Acrimony and the mastery 10% less damage taken from damage over time. You'll want to work your way slowly toward that, but feel free to take any of the nearby increased life, life regeneration, armor, or damage nodes if you so desire. You don't really need that damage over time mastery until endgame, but it's a good idea to get it earlier because it helps your survivability a lot. Once you have the whole path from Acrimony up at the top down to Bloodless at the bottom, your pathing is done. All that's left is filling out the convenient life, regeneration, and armor clusters, as well as this area of effect cluster. When you move into the endgame, strengthening your defense is about taking every already pathed defensive node that you can find, but there are 3 particularly good options. First, you should develop Anointed Flesh. This will not only give you an additional 1% maximum resist, but will make you massively resistant to Chill and Freeze, one of your build's few defensive weaknesses. Second, you can develop the Asylum cluster, which will give you a nice boost to chaos resistance and help against curses. And lastly, there's a great regeneration cluster between the Duelist and Marauder areas. It's particularly good at keeping you alive through damage over time, so it helps against poison, bleed, burning ground, and corrupted blood. If you want to develop your offense, stick to the top side of the tree. If you find a strong cluster jewel, you can develop into this cluster socket. The Explosive Impact cluster is really nice for the increased area of effect. You could develop past Acrimony to get access to the Witch starting area. There's some nice life and damage nodes there. Really, though, you're not going to be worrying much about improving your damage. Developing the endgame for this build is all about making your defense, regeneration, and health as great as they can be. If you want to work toward a new life cluster, I would recommend either going to the left to take Devotion, or building into the center so that you can take the Life Wheel and Iron Will. Playing this Righteous Fire Chieftain is a ton of fun. It is a massively tanky caster build, And if you round up monsters in the boss room, you have the capability of insta-killing map bosses in gigantic fiery explosions. Hinekora be praised. I've been enjoying it so much it's given me another idea for another Hinekora build. I'm currently leveling that one up, and I'll have a build guide coming for that soon. If you're interested in more information regarding Path of Exile or PoE's Ruthless mode, please subscribe, and if you've enjoyed this build guide, don't forget to hit that like button as well. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care, Exiles.